to the start-finish line again.
Welcome viewers to round number 9 of the TFR SuperCup, live from sunny Silverstone. My name is Rob Sutherland and I will introduce you to my co-commentator Will Vincent. Hello Will.
Hello, and don't believe a word that Rob's saying. It's not sunny at Silverstone, it's England.
Oh, we're just watching the end of qualification where I think our biggest surprise is that Oliver Brandt, who currently is quite high up in the GT1 series, has qualified all the way down in 7th position.
Yeah, and he had to wait until literally the dying moments of qualifying to even set a time, setting a 1 minute 43.677, and the dying moments put him in 7th. Think he's got enough time to try and get it back past the start-finish line again, see if he's improving, but looks like Oliver's having a torrid time in qualifying so far.
Well, normally you put a banker in at the start, so very interesting to see. Right, okay, so I'm just going to take you into the qualification order because we're just wrapping up our qualification now. In the GT1s, David S. Peterson, the second place in the championship, starts in 1st position. Second, Nico Brandt. 3rd is Rob Streetmans. In 4th position, David Ward. 5th is Ian Rogers. 6th position, Jason Brown. Oliver Brandt starts in 7th position, a series leader. 8th position, Robert Lorry. 9th is Bart Monin. In 10th position, a newcomer to the championship is Van Balog. And in 11th position, Larry Krupp. We've also got Christian Nusslan, who will be starting from the pit lane alongside Larry, which we'll come on to later. And my colleague Will take us through the GT2 cars.
Yes, Kimo, once again, surprisingly enough, in a new scheme, the Glacier Racing number 51 machine now is in P1 of the GT2 class. John Malliot in 2nd, Dave Geimer in 3rd, Michael Booth in 4th, Eric Verdoff 5th, Stefan Coppens in 6th, Toby Bushnell in 7th, Simon Geimer in 8th, Whitco Bubenek in 9th, Sasha Rabe in 10th, Nick Phillips in 11th, and Chris Partridge in 12th. And Mario Vlasic, again, will also have to start from pit lane.
Okay, I think actually we've had a retiree in Chris Partridge. He's had to leave for family reasons. We're just getting up on the grid now, waiting for the safety car to pull away. I think we're just waiting for the other drivers to form up, and I'm going to predict it's a pretty good race here because there's a lot of drivers quite like Silverstone. It's going to suit these cars quite well.
Yeah, and for a number of these drivers, it's their home track. For a couple of other drivers, it's as close to they get to a home track. For people like Nico and Oliver, you know, they don't have a track in Germany, so either here or maybe Zandvoort will be their, you know, classified home track. But people like David Ward, especially Toby Bushnell, the entire TFR team, with the exception of Peterson, then this is pretty much their home race. Silverstone's a very difficult circuit, though. It's just so, it's because it's so flat and so many fast sweeping corners. It's very difficult to keep the traction in the car mid-corner up.
Absolutely, and I know for a start that the guy that's sitting on pole really, Dave S. Peterson really does like this circuit. So hopefully won't go and drive away with it because he's quite quick round here. As always with the TFR SuperCup broadcast we do, you can find us on hashtag TFR SuperCup on Twitter, and feel free to leave us some abuse there. We always appreciate it.
Yeah,
and just
go on. You've been off for 2 weeks. You can talk for once.
No, I haven't really. I'm really glad to be back. The pace car just pulls away now, so we're on our parade lap.
Yeah, what I was saying is
as you see.
Oh, come on! I'm going to talk this time. Whatever. I was going to say is that I talked to David last week, and he said that the middle portion of this season, the track layout was the ones that he didn't like. Now, for the last few rounds of this series, starting at Silverstone, he loves all the tracks all the way through to the end of the season. So, expect him to try and close that gap back to Oliver Brandt in the GT1 Championship. But you said that we're going to talk about it, so we are. Larry Krupp and Christian Nielsen, and I believe also Mario Vlasic, all are going to start from pit lane. That's a new ruling in the TFR SuperCup series, that any driver who doesn't set a qualifying time or who qualifies slower than the fastest driver in the other class, so in this case Larry Krupp qualified slower than Kimmo Surman, will have to start from pit lane. And that was being designed just to ensure that coming to the green flag, there's, you know, the GT1 class and the GT2 class, and not drivers jostling for position coming down to turn 1.
But we were talking about this earlier. On the flip side, if they do have to, the GT1s do have to start from the pit lane. You were telling us earlier how they've actually got to be, they've got to fight their way through the GT2 drivers as well. So it's an extra little bit of complication for the GT2 drivers early on.
Yeah, but since I said that, I thought about it a bit more, and obviously when you start from pit lane, you'll end up about 6-7 seconds behind the last driver in the GT2, by my math anyway. So that will mean that at least it will give the field a lap or so to spread out before the Corvettes try and make their way through the GT2 field. But it'll be interesting to see that. And for Oliver Brandt, this is why he was so desperate at the end of qualifying, because the last thing he'd want to do is be on the back foot and lose pretty much 30 seconds over the likes of Peterson before the race even starts.
Right, so the safety car's just coming around club, shooting down to Abbey, turn number 11. All the drivers getting nice and filled out. We can see all the GT2s back there with the new Livy from Kimmo, and then we've got some Team Shark back there as well. So it's going to provide. We've not got a very big grid today, but we've got enough drivers in there that's going to really affect the championship standings today.
Oh yeah, and keep an eye out on David Ward in the pink car. He had a heartbreaking moment last time out at Daytona, leading the race and then just smacking it into that inside retaining wall coming into turn number 1. So keep an eye on him. And let's not forget, out front, you're going to have Nico Brandt and David Peterson going toe-to-toe down into turn number 1.
As aggressive as possible, please, guys. We're going into the wonderfully named Priory, then Brooklands, then Luffield, and then we'll be into Woodcote over the start-finish line. These are great names. There's not a carousel everywhere, is there? Anywhere, is there, Will?
Thank God, no. So the pace car is going to make that hard right turn down towards pit lane. Peterson's will bring the field down towards the green flag. They see him accelerating already. Green flag in the air. And guess what? We're racing at Silverstone.
Fantastic. They're going to go straight through Copse. A very brave corner, this one. Filter to the left and then swing in. Just trying to catch some midfield movement if there is any going on.
Looks as though they've got single file for the most part. Nico Brandt, lost a position into turn number 1 to Rob Stradermans. See Bart Munn in there trying to go too wide. That's not going to work into... Oh my God, no, sorry, Bart Munn in there just collecting Robert Lowry there. You cannot go too wide really in to Beckett to Maggots, and it looks as though Robert Lowry's day is going to be over already.
Yeah, just running wide. I don't know if there's much damage. It's still only a few minutes into a 90-minute race, so they can really... it doesn't look like it's got too much damage. No, he's just rejoining the back of the grid now. Just be caught up by all the guys exiting the pit lane. Yeah,
and you see Laurie there just trying to wiggle the car right and left, see how much damage he has. As you're going to come down now into Stowe Corner. He wants to make sure he's got the car to turn in when he come into here. Obviously the scene of Michael Schumacher's famous 1999 incident. But for the most part, it looks like the GT1s have got themselves spread out a little bit. Obviously, Kimmo is leading the way in the GT2 class, surprisingly enough. John Mallia, though, by the look of it, he started that race behind Kimmo there, and I think that possibly helped him, because you saw how Nico Brandt lost position down into turn 1. The way it all worked out, Mallia was able to pretty much save his position there.
It's great news for him, because he's got the advantage of Daniel Kirsten not being in here, so there are positions up for grabs in the GT2 Championship.
So Peterson
just coming around to the end of the first lap now. Peterson in the lead, followed by... it's showing it wrong for me. It's still showing as Larry Crippen out the lead.
Nope, it's Rob Straightmans in second, Nico Brandt third, David Ward fourth, Ian Rogers rounding out your top 5. And already you see that Peterson has got half a second gap over Rob Stradermans, who himself's got an 0.8 of a second gap over Nico Brandt in the number 25. So interesting to see how Straightmans copes with this race, because we've not really seen him out front too much in this series so far this year. But it does look as though he does love Silverstone.
And why not? What's there not to love about it? And we're following Kimmo Surunen now, leader of the GT2 Championship by a canter. Just a lovely new paint job there, which I believe our penguins in the back office are particularly happy with, because it is a glacier racing paint job. I'm going to see him chased down there by John Mallia just through Farm Straight.
Yeah, and it looks like Mallia has got the legs in the opening stages of this race for Kimo. Look, again, Mallia seems to be in pretty good form in the second half of the season. He's had a couple of incidences, but it does look as though he's very close to Kimo when they come into the bigger braking zones like Club, and that might help him in the in the last stage of this lap with that very difficult left, and then double apex right-hander into Luffield.
Get a bit fighty in the midfield in the GT2s. Coppins and Bushnell, both the Torque Freak endurance racers, both just showing each other a bit of space coming to some of these corners. We've got Rob Laurie fighting his way back through them now as well, so it's a bit of complication. Looks like there's quite a racy little field out there.
Oh yeah, and this is what I was talking about. Laurie now has caught onto the back of this GT2 field, but he's going to have to be very careful. He doesn't want to upset the GT2 drivers too early. See him just having a look down the inside there as they come in, and he's managed to overtake Nick Phillips. So Phillips is going to have the inside line to come into Luffield, and it looks as though he just drifted off the throttle a little bit just to let Laurie get past him.
Nick Phillips making a debut in the Torque Freak Racing series today. I think we're all in the roll bar of Simon Guymer at the moment as he's chasing down Mr. Coppins, who's backed off from Toby a little bit. Maybe he's looking at his mirrors a little bit too much now.
Tell you what, it does look as though Peterson is running away for the moment. Gap is now up to 9/10 of a second over Rob Straightman's. Nico Brandt still about 1.2 seconds behind that number 17 machine of Straightman's. David Ward still in fourth.
Yeah, that's very close from Rob.
And this is Bart Money trying to make his way back through the field, trying to overtake Eric Verdoff, and this technically is for position, but you know, for these GT2 drivers, it's little point in holding up one of the GT1 Corvettes, just simply because they're not racing them on paper. Obviously, they're just racing them by class.
Michael Booth, another newcomer, is right up behind Eric Verdoff now. Verdoff has to drift in to defend. That's Michael Booth, also starting his mare racing, one of our Scottish drivers. Also know him from the British Diesel Touring Car Championship as well, quite racy there.
Yeah, and Booth's doing a good job currently trying to hunt down Eric Verdoff. Looks like his car's getting a bit squealing in the faster corners though, coming into Bridge. It's a horrible corner that, you know, it's so fast, not quite flat out all the times, but you really do have to be, you know, in the right zone to be able to take that corner well.
It's all about all that car placement on entry. He just takes that a little bit tight around Luffield there.
And I think you summed that up perfectly. Go ahead.
Well, it looks like all the racing's down the GT2s at the moment. We've got a good old split of drivers. I think if we had Dave Guymer's now 21 seconds behind the leader, but only about 3-4 seconds behind Kimmo Surunen. So we've got a good old split between the GT2s. We're going to see a lot of early racing.
Oh yeah, and Dave Guymer currently will be leading what will be known as the second group. Mallia and Silverman have just completely pulled away from the rest of this GT2 field. Dave Guymer leading the charge for third position in class at the moment. Eric Verdoff currently sat in fourth, Michael Booth in fifth. And Toby Bushnell still right there in hunt in sixth position as well. And then from there on in, you've got a little bit of a gap back to Stefan Coppins, currently running in seventh in class, with Simon Guymer in eighth. Right,
okay. Eyes are all fixed on Eric Verdoff at the moment. He can't get rid of that GT1 in front of him. But there's Bart Monin right behind him as well. Sorry, not Bart, we're about talking about Mr. Booth still. And I think that Corvette might just get in the way of him a little bit.
See, after 2 weeks away, you don't even know what you're talking about anymore.
No, you're absolutely right. Some may argue that I never in the first place, to be honest with you.
But Dave Guymer's doing a really good job of just holding his ground, not just getting scared of the fact that he has got a GT1 behind him. And it is that imposing livery of Bart Monin in the number 45 of the United States Stars and Stripes. It does look as though Monin is struggling currently at the moment in that number 45 machine. We did see him involved in the incident on lap 1 going to Beckett. Not quite sure just how much that hurt his car, but if he manages to get the car placed well out of Luffield, he might have the chance to run down on Guymer as they come down into Cuff Corner, but just doesn't look like that car's very happy when he puts the power down.
Oof, inside the cops. Always going to be a little bit scary, this one. Just let him pass, Mr. Geimer. Don't take the risk this early.
But then he managed to almost get the run back of him coming out the corner.
Yeah, that's not a happy situation for both drivers, is it?
And this is allowing Verdorf to close down just a little bit as they come through into Beckett's and Maggots. And do you think, Rob, that for Geimer, having that Corvette ahead of him, not really, building up the speed that much, is that going to disjoint him a little bit, as the GT1s and GT2s do take some very different lines through some of these corners?
Absolutely, and especially the section between Maggots and Chapel as well. They're all very sort of fast flowing. They get tighter and tighter and tighter, and you just don't want to be stuck around having to watch out for another Corvette and look at the lines they're taking, and just try and keep your car as far away from them as possible, because they'll have different braking zones, they'll have different entry points, and hopefully he moves away now. Mr. Geimer can carry on racing.
Krop is into pit lane, currently in what is only can be classified, unfortunately, as last in the number 99 machine. He's just making his way back onto the racetrack at the moment.
Mr. Laurie still fighting his way through 18th position, up behind, it says Simon Geimer, but I think he's behind Stefan Coppens now.
Yep.
Not this pit lane ruling isn't really sort of working out for some of the guys. Obviously, Laurie had his little off earlier. This is really hurting him for his race pace now. And
Rob Straitman is still keeping that gap to Peterson in about for the GT1 lead at about a second. And I've got a very strange feeling that Peterson will do his standard tactic of trying to run away and hide, pit early before they get into too much traffic, and see whether he can do the good old cut under. But Straitman is definitely giving us something to think about. But they two have pulled away now to about 3 seconds ahead of Nico Brand in that number 25.
Cameras are fixed on Eric Verdorf at the moment, and you just saw that Corvette just take a peek in front of him. In front of him, just coming up to Toby Bushnell as well. And just take the sort of refuse to pass some cops, which is a bit of a shame. Bit of a not a lot of confidence in that corner, and that corner's all about confidence.
Yeah, in the GT1, I think the biggest battle we could have on our hands would be the freeway battle between Ian Rogers, Jason Brown and Oliver Brown, currently separated by 2 seconds on the racetrack. Oliver Brown had a terrible time in qualifying and practice, trying to make his way back through the field, currently sat in the 7th position. His lap times, let's put it, comparable to Jason Brown and Ian Rogers, but he's not that much faster like he's been at so many races in the middle part of the season.
No, maybe he's not entirely confident with the setup or the circuit, and certainly not as consistent as he normally is. He's normally Mr. Dependable, isn't he?
Oh yeah, Mr. Dependable, and he'd only really be going slower, shall we say, because he's waiting for his time to strike. But it does look as though he's definitely struggling at this racetrack, which would be good news for Peterson, as Peterson has, in some ways, one less driver to worry about, and that number 16 car can try and rump away into the distance.
Verdorf and Bushnell, a little bit of a fight going on there. Coppens is joining in now behind. They're all bunching up. I think Toby's just backing them up a little bit. I think we can effectively use the term trolley train today for the first time.
Woo!
And Mr. Geimer in front will be absolutely loving this at the moment. He'll be stretching his legs, knowing that Toby's coming under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and Robert Lowry did a brave move there, coming down the inside on the front straightaway. But yeah, the trolley train is in full force. Toby Bushnell with Eric Verdorf right behind, Stefan Coppens, Simon Geimer, Wojciech Bubnik, also just at the back of that group. If these guys get held up for much longer, Wojciech Bubnik will really start joining into this infamous trolley train.
And Victor likes a gold race. You've seen him get quite racy at a few tracks this season.
And there we are, finally. Oliver Brandt is closing down now. Jason Brown in the number 21 machine. Gap down to less than half a second. As you see, Oliver Brandt, you're not going to try and move into bridge corner, so don't even think about it, Oliver. But in the last portion of this racetrack, it does look like Oliver's a lot stronger, as he's getting all kinds of sideways, trying to not run into the back of that number 21 machine. But it looks as though Oliver's started to finally find his feet.
Brown's Red Rocket's taking it quite defensive for a few of those corners. Just didn't want to let him down the inside. See how Brown takes this. I wonder if he's had such a bad time during the day, he might just be a little bit more risky.
Rob Stratemans, however, is kindly closing on Peterson just a little bit. Last time by, Stratemans managed to eke out 4/10 of a second on Peterson's lead. Peterson did a 1 minute 45.020. Rob Stratemans a 1:44.689. So, by no sense of the means is Stratemans allowing Peterson to get ahead in this race, and he's keeping the American in that number 16 TFR machine very honest.
The Ward, Rogers, Brown and Brandt train have, they do like to cut maggots a little bit. They do like to get all four wheels over the white lines and just sort of ride the curbs a little bit. So I don't know if they'll be investigated a little bit later.
I'm sure Katie will have something to say about that. Katie has got the post-race steward for the TFR SuperCup. She has handed out quite a few penalties in the last few races. She see Ward getting very wide there coming out of club corner. And the way she rules it is, if you're gaining speed by cutting a corner, then you will be penalised. If you're going wide, you know, and you give back the time that you would gain, no issue, as long as you do it safely. But some of these drivers, they are going to have to make sure that they're not cutting the corners too much.
Well, it all depends, I guess, if iRacing is classing it as an off-track. And we don't know if it is yet. Actually, we'll just have to maybe keep an eye on that. But maybe through our Johnny technical interlude a little bit later in the closing of the races, we can. That's one thing to discuss.
Can we come up with a jingle and everything for that, the Johnny technical interlude?
Yeah, you're right. Good. I'll get my xylophone out.
So, in the GT1 class, trying to get slightly back on the topic, Peterson is still your race leader, 1.1 seconds a gap to Rob Stratemans in second, Nico Brandt in third, 3.1 seconds behind the race leader, David Ward in fourth, Ian Rogers in fifth, and then Jason Brown sixth, Oliver Brandt in seventh, Esteban Ballo in eighth, Bart Munnin in ninth, and Robert Lowry rounding out your top 10. And then the 4 GTs, Kimmo, surprisingly enough, is still your race leader. John Mallia is dropped to about a second and a half behind now in second. Dave Guymer third, Michael Booth in fourth, Toby Bushnell in fifth, and then Eric Verdoff is in sixth.
And just having a little look for Phil, so if there's any dramas happening. The red rocket of Brown and Brandt is still looking quite fighty up ahead. And looking through, we're looking at Kimmo. Actually, he's caught Bart Munnin. I think Bart Munnin's had a little bit of drama as well.
Yeah, and it does look as though Rogers has slowed down in the last couple of laps. His fastest lap time was 1 minute 44. His last lap was a 1 minute 46.0. So he's now been put right in to this three-way battle now with himself and Jason Brown and Oliver Brandt, and that is a battle for 5th, 6th and 7th.
The Vadoff fight, he's always around someone, but now it looks like Coppins has caught him up just a little bit. They're now under half a second away from each other. Coppins' last lap was 1:49.5 and Vadoff's was 1:49.7, so there's a bit of a train right at the back of the GT2s.
It does look as though Guymer's managed to drop Booth for the moment. However, Bushnell, to be fair, he's managed to get himself a little bit of a gap at points to Verdoff, but then he closes him right back down, and Stefan Coppins and Simon Guymer and now Witzka Bubnek are just sat there waiting patiently for one of them to make a mistake in this we do not want to pass mode. As you see there, that just for a moment Stefan Coppins looks down to the inside, but didn't manage to get the job done on Eric Verdoff.
1,000,001 lines to take round Luffield. It's all about hanging off the throttle and when to put it down, and then just nice little cut through Woodcoats.
Oh yeah, and unlike the HBDs and a couple of the other cars, you've got to be very careful when you do put the power back down. You don't really want to put it down too early because you'll spin your tyres too much. There's a chance you could just shoot to the right hand side. But you don't want to go too late because otherwise someone has got the chance to make a nice run down into turn number 1. And even though Cosp is such a fast corner, and it's normally single file, if you can put your car into position, chances are the guy on the left hand side is just going to give up and give you it.
Going to the start of the top of the race now. 11 laps in, just coming around towards the end. The end of the 10th lap, and there's about just under half a second between David Peterson and Rob Straitmans as well, so looks like we're going to have a battle for the lead soon. Looks like David Peterson's last lap round was 1:44.6 and Rob Straitmans was 1:44.5, so getting very, very race at top.
Yeah, it does look as though Straitmans really has closed down Peterson in the last couple of laps. Having a look at Straitmans' lap times, they're very consistent. Everything from lap number 2 onwards have been within, I don't know, about 7/10 of a second, whereas Peterson's times have been a lot less consistent. He's had the odd 45.0, 45.1 chucked into the mix. So even though Peterson's lap times have generally been faster, it does look as though he's a bit more prone to making some mistakes at the moment.
Good racecraft from Rob Lorry there. Hanger straight, just pulls over as they go round Stowe corner now, and you can see we're in cars with Rob Straitman. We can just see the difference in the lines taken. We're seeing that David Peterson's moving that Corvette round quite a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I think that at the moment Straitman definitely has the upper hand, putting that pressure on Peterson. He's got nothing to lose as far as himself and the championship's concerned. Peterson's, he's got to be very careful that he doesn't put the car into the wall and make a silly mistake, because this is going to be one of his best opportunities to close down point over Oliver Brandt in the GT1 Championship.
It's a very sort of almost an identical set of corners, and into 8, 9, just that little flick to the left, and then you come around club into 10, and then you shoot down that straight all the way to 11, where you have to do it again. I hate turn number 8. I always end up going long and cocking it up. These guys seem to handle it a little bit better than I do.
But it does definitely look like Straitmans has got the legs to match Peterson at the moment. And these guys now, Oliver Brandt has stabilised that gap at about 3 seconds. So he's got a shot of calling his way back into this. David Ward, however, is currently sat down in the 4th position. He's dropped back to 7 seconds behind Oliver Brandt, and almost 10 seconds now behind the race leader.
Right, okie dokie then. So we are now 12 laps in. Is it time to run through the orders?
I think it is. I'm just having a look back that Toby Bushnell, by the look of it, had a huge off-track incident going into Club Corner, about a lap or so away from our TV screens. Coming down, he braked the car into the corner and just wouldn't turn. Eventually he decided, heck, I might as well just go straight on. Wait and wait and wait, go over the bumps, go over, make a bit of mess on the Abbey and the Bridgestone sign, get it back onto the racetrack, but he's lost himself a ton of time, and by the look of it, about 4 positions in the process.
Oliver Brandt's racking up the off-tracks, isn't he?
Yeah, difficult day still for Oliver Brandt. I think he's getting a little bit frustrated that he can't make a move on Jason Brown or Ian Rogers or now David Ward, as it's now a 4-car group. David Ward slipped back into the clutches of Ian Rogers in the number 29 TFR machine, and Jason Brown behind isn't that far, but it does look again like it's very difficult to pass at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. 26 minutes in of the race. Bit of a train there developing between Ward, Rogers, Brown and Brandt. It's sort of been on and off pretty much the start of the race, really. And, God, come on, man, someone bottle it.
And see, Straitman's trying to get a move down. Oh, Peterson almost lost it there. This is going to allow Straitman to have a move for the lead. 2 wide as they go into Beckett, and Straitman's putting all sorts of pressure on to Peterson there. And it does look as though, for the moment, Peterson's going to be under a world of pressure, and he almost lost not only the lead, but his race car twice there.
He's a brave man, fighty brave man. He's going to go for some of those moves around there. They're scary old corners, they are.
Oh yeah. It looked as though originally he lost it just a little bit on the exit of Cosp Corner. He had to slow the car down a bit as it tried darting to the right hand side. That allowed Straitman to have a look to the left. Coming into Beckett, didn't close the door. Straitman's actually braked a little bit earlier, and then Peterson got wide into the second part of Beckett, into Maggots, then into Beckett again, coming out into Chapel. Very messy set of corners there for Peterson. But Straitman didn't manage to get the job done.
Everyone's favourite multi-class assassin, Nico Brandt, just posted 1:44.5. That's faster than both David and Rob as well, so this could play into his advantage, because he does like a good old overtake, does Nico?
Oh yeah, and as always, Nico Brandt just starting to close his way back to the front of the field. And to be fair, look, I haven't really seen Nico or Oliver both be in the top 3 at the end of the race. Someone's going to have to check this for me, but it always seems that only one Brandt is good on a race weekend. But neither of them have really been able to be in the top 3 in the same race. I think I actually take that back. I remember those once.
I'll check it for you. To be honest, I don't think Oliver Brandt's been out of the top 3 aside from Watkins Glen and Spa-Francorchamps champs.
Yeah. But Straightman, I think, in that mess, might have heated his tyres up a little bit too much. He's dropped back to 7/10 of a second behind Peterson at the end of lap 13. This has allowed Nico Brandt to close again to him, but at the same time, the battle for 5th through to 7th, 4th through to 7th, David Ward, Ian Rogers, Jason Brown, Oliver Brandt still carrying on. None of these drivers really able to make any form of movement, and at the same time you have the Eric Verdorf battle, who's now managed to pull away to about 1.5 seconds over Stefan Coppens. Simon Geimer's about half a second behind him, and Whitaker Bilbernet is now struggling to hold on to the back of the group, whereas earlier on they were all being held up, should we say, by Toby Bushnell.
TFR mystery solved for you. Do you want to know which race?
Which one?
Daytona Road.
Thank you.
There you go. I won't say where they came, 'cause that might be spoilers.
So we're
Oliver Brandt. Is it me? Or no, sorry, that one I'm looking at Jason Brown's got very, very close to Ian Rogers, who in turn is very, very close to David Ward as well.
Yeah, I think David Ward has taken over the role of Truly Train ringmaster for the last 10 minutes or so. You see David Ward getting a little bit wide, but again, no one's really able to make a move. As we are about 25 minutes in now to round 9 of the TFR Spring Super Cup on Glacier TV. And once again, I'm Will Vincent. Some guys decided to come back and talk to you for a while after being away for 2 weeks. Hi, Rob.
Hello, restraining orders run out. We're looking at some fantastic racing here. You can just see the lines being taken between Jason Brown and Ian Rogers. Ian Rogers running quite defensive through the Priory and Brooklands complex, and as a result Jason's just having to take different lines, and Oliver Brandt just behind him being patient. Any sort of lesser experienced driver would be tempted to dive bomb and just force the guy wide, but it's just nice and racy. They fly through Maggott's 4th into Beckett's, and they got quite close there.
Yeah, this is definitely the most intense battle on the racetrack at the moment. The GT2 battle has really calmed down for the moment. Surprisingly enough, Kimmo Suhrmann is still your race leader in the GT2 class. Gap is up now to 3 seconds to John Mallia. Dave Geimer is in 3rd, Michael Booth in 4th. Those two are fighting pretty closely for 3rd position in class. Michael Booth managed to catch right onto the back of Dave Geimer, literally 0.3 of a second as they're going to come across the line any second now, and Booth almost loses it on the exit of Luffield. That will give a bit of breathing space to Geimer. Verdorf, Coppens, Simon Geimer and Whitaker Bubnek, they've all completely spread out now, and Toby Bushnell is trying to close down Whitaker Bubnek in what is technically the battle for 8th position.
Yeah, just ease yourself in nice and gently, Mr. Booth. No sort of big dramas on your debut.
It's very interesting. David Ward takes a very wide line in some of these slower corners, and it does look as though it almost looks as though Rogers gets a look down the inside, but just the way that Ward takes these corners almost makes it so he's going to swoop across halfway through the corner. I'm wondering if that's putting Rogers off a little bit.
Well, David Ward does do a lot of I know he certainly does a lot of time trials at Silverstone in real life, and I know he races his Mini at Silverstone as well, so this guy knows this track like the back of his hand.
Car off track, sorry. Just saw it on my peripheral vision. And that...
Saw the smoke. Rob Straightman's.
Yes.
Or was it?
I'm having a look back. And, sorry, Nick Phillips even.
Oh no, Nick Phillips, newcomer.
Just
all the way back
losing
now.
It, yeah. Just losing it
on... disconnected.
Losing it through Cost Corner. Just getting a little bit too wide, getting onto the wrong part of the track to put the power down.
Ooh. Well, on the screen now we can just see Jason Brown just down the hanger straight into Stowe Corner. Just got side by side with Ian Rogers and took the position. Now Ian's, he's looking back now. He really wants that position back. 3 in a row. This ain't going to work.
Oh, tagging Oliver Brandt just a little bit there.
Well, I hope that doesn't knock his wheel out, but fantastic racing there. Fantastic racing.
And that was a beautiful manoeuvre down into Stoke Corner. That is textbook how you make the move happen. And it just looked as though Oliver Brandt was looking for the pickings as he tried to react to Ian Rogers losing that position, but didn't quite manage to do anything.
So David Ward, sigh of relief. However, in a few laps, you're probably going to have Mr. Brown behind you. So just make the most of it now. Get some clean laps done. And it looks like the fight between Rogers and Brandt is not over.
It's barely even started, and the question I'd have to ask is, if you're David Ward, which one of them would you like to have in your rearview mirror the most? Would it be Rogers or would it be Jason Brown?
Well, it certainly wouldn't be Brown, would it? Obviously, Dave's doing an exceptional job in the championship at the moment. A one-driver team, and he's all the way up in fourth, so it would probably be quite nice in his eyes. If
the 29 car, so I had to interrupt you there. On the exit of Cost Corner, Ian Rogers loses the position to Oliver Brandt, just like we saw with Nick Phillips a moment ago, getting it onto the wrong part of that AstroTurf, the tarmacy thing, on the exit of the corner, and just didn't have the drive coming off the corner. He lost position there to Oliver Brandt, which is a big sigh of relief, I think, for Oliver.
But then you just hate it when you run wide and cops, and there's just that little bit of when the tarmac finishes and the grass begins. You really sort of hate that bit. You're dreading it. What a pass! Well, it was a mistake, really, but what a pass! Keep it on the road, nice and clean.
Yeah, I think that's the Cosp landing strip into Beckett's, into Maggot is the only clean way I can think of saying that. Ladies and gentlemen, make it up in your head.
or not make it up in your head. Chuck it on Twitter. We're on hashtag TFR SuperCup. Our only retiree is Nick Phillips at the moment. Mr. Larry Cripp is down in the last place, a lap behind, but Nick Phillips is the only one to have retired.
And one thing we haven't mentioned, with only 12 drivers per class, these drivers only really need to get halfway and they can rack up some good points. And for a couple of these drivers, especially in both classes even, that could be a nice little payday for them as they not having to fight as hard to get some nice solid points in the bank.
Yeah, and there's the team championship as well, I think, especially down in GT2 with only 7 points separate Team Shark and the Talk Freak Endurance guys. Team Shark really needs to, Simon Dave Garmer really need to have a strong finish here today.
Rob Straitmans is into pit lane. And he will be looking like he's the first to blink there in the GT1 class then. Coming down into pit lane to get his tyres and race gas. So it looked as though that Straitmans was the one who was running light and not Peterson.
Okay, then, so in this instant, and that's strange, there's 2 pit exits here, isn't there? I forgot about that.
Yeah, that always confuses me. There are 2, you don't get any penalty for using one or the other. Personally, I always like to take the one that's on the furthest to the right-hand side, just because it gives me an easier drive into Maggot. I don't know why, it just feels a nicer exit if you can tighten it up enough, and also, in so many ways, it's a bit safer as well.
Okay, so we're looking at the fight between Jason Brown. He's caught up with David Ward now. They're going to take a couple of laps. It's going to develop unless one of them comes in the pits nice and early.
Yeah, I think as David Ward are wanting to stay out for as long as humanly possible, just in the hope that I can try and keep from these positions, because I have a very bad feeling that if he pits early, Brown, Brandt and Rogers all have the opportunity to get past him in the sequence of pit stops. But for a driver like Oliver Brandt, perhaps pitting early could be a saving grace for him.
Yeah, if he gets a couple of laps down, he might do the classic undertake, or undercut as they call it, on the vision of the telly. 37 minutes in. So the first pit stop, the first intentional pit stop, 35 minutes in.
And that means that we'll be looking, the pit window kind of is now open. It'll be open for the next 20 minutes for drivers. I'm expecting most of these drivers to just do a solid, 45 minutes there. There's not really much advantage over taking one over the other. But Peterson is now 3.4 seconds ahead of Nico Brandt with Straightman's pitting. It'll be interesting to see now whether Oliver Brandt is going to try and close down Peterson over the next couple of laps for the GT1 lead. But this battle still going on with Ward, Brown and Brandt and Rogers. And
yes,
they've
pretty
got
much
GT2 traffic.
Yep, they're just catching the Toby Bushnell and co now. And this always decides a few things as well. So we're in car with Jason Brown at the moment. You can see right up behind David Ward, the pink car, David Ward.
Oliver Brandt looking down to the inside into Bridge Corner. Sorry, and wasn't going to try and make the move there. Is he going to try the undercut though? Not quite there, but that was almost going to be a ballsy move on the centre. He's looking down to the inside yet again on that number 21 machine of Jason Brown. Oliver Brandt has decided that it's go time for him. Wow. Massive action here at Silverstone. Peterson into pit lane from the race lead. David Peterson is into pit lane, so he's the second driver to make a pit stop. Keep an eye out on Rob Straightman to see which one of these drivers will get out of pit lane first.
Ooh. Jason Brown off. Through the complex, got side by side with Oliver Brandt.
So I'm having a look back with Straightman to see where he's going to feed in relation to Peterson, and I'll tell you what, Straightman has got himself a huge advantage over Peterson. He's just leaving pit lane now, so Straightman has got himself about a 5-second gap over Peterson there. Having a look back at the Jason Brown incident though, but this is what it is.
Well, when you have changed back there.
Yeah. Completely lost it there going down to Megson. I think that was just because of the fact that he had Oliver Brandt looking down to the inside of him. I think those two just touched again, but they also had Mario Vlasic on the inside as well, and I think Vlasic might have just unsighted Brown a little bit, but wow.
Massive drama. Ian Rogers came out at that best because he managed to shoot past them all while they're going past Mario Vlasic on Hanger Straight, and he's not only gained a position, but he's gained a bit of time as well.
Tell you what though, it does look as though Oliver Brandt is getting a little bit reckless in that number 91 Vitaphone machine. Getting a little bit frustrated, sat behind Jason Brown and Ian Rogers for this portion of time. But David Ward's now got himself about a 3-4 second cushion.
Well, I told you it might get a bit fighty. Yes, that all sort of kicked off at the time with the pit stops were happening up front. So, it's just like buses in this race, isn't it?
Yeah. You wait for one exciting manoeuvre, and they all come at once. Nico Brandt is your race leader at the moment. He's got a 13.8 second gap to David Ward, currently riding in second. In Rogers in third, Jason Brown in fourth, Oliver Brandt in fifth. Then is David Peterson. Rod Statemans has fallen behind, Peterson. Peterson has managed to get past at some point. I'm just having a look to see exactly where it was, but I know Peterson came out of pit lane behind Straightman's, unless I really am getting confused.
Well, I'm just having a look through now as well, see what we can see.
I
It looks
swear
to me like about a second gap between them at the moment.
yeah. Nico is currently stuck in the middle of a GT2 train. There's no other way of saying it. That battle with Toby Bushnell and Whitaker Bubnek, Simon Guymer, Stefan Coppins, Nico Brandt having to take them one at a time, and he's losing quite a bit of time at the moment as he's trying to put a lap on Whitaker Bubnek. Just nice and moves to the right hand side to allow Nico Brandt to have the corner.
He's really suffering now. His lap time will be really suffering. 1:44.9 was his last lap. Let's see what all this traffic has done to his lap now.
And he's going to be catching Guymer into the run down into Cost Corner when Guymer is still trying to put pressure on Stefan Coppin. So this could be very interesting. He lost 2 seconds almost, and he's losing even more through Cost Corner already. That's probably half a second down the drain, and he's still going to be behind these guys through the entire Maggots-Beckett's Chapel complex.
Okay, so this is going to... I think when we see all the pit stops finish, we're going to see a massive gap between Rob Straightmans and Nico Brown. I think this is absolutely Disastrous for Nico.
There he is. Now he's got Geimer. Now he's just got to try and get past Coppins. Hopefully he might be able to outbreak him into Stoke corner. Not quite. Looking down to the inside and almost losing it.
Slip.
Oh.
Ooh, no. That was very, very lucky for Nico. I didn't get a tank slapper on because that would have sent him right into the Team Shark car. And Geimer just dropped him behind him to catch a bit of air off him as well, but a bit of a toe.
This is really costing Nico Brandt. Really costing him. He's lost about 2 seconds again on this lap alone. Running to the outside around Club Corner. He's finally going to be able to get past to come down into the Abbey chicane. But this pretty much means that unless he does an amazing sequence of laps now, not only is Peterson going to be able to regain the lead, but Rob Straitman is going to have a clear run in second position.
Yeah, and if he comes in the pits now, he's that would be terrible. He must be seething under that visor.
Yeah. David Ward still in second position. Got himself a little bit of breathing space for the moment from Ian Rogers, Jason Brown and Oliver Brandt. Those three are still going tete-a-tete. But that's allowing David Ward to pull away just slightly, and that'll be a bit of relief on the number 69 machine, as he has been under severe pressure all race long. But still, the most exciting battle in the GT2 class is the Coppins, Geimer, Bubanek and Bushnell battle, but Bushnell comes down pit lane at the end on lap 22, so he's going to try and take some fuel and get some fresh tyres.
That's the first of the GT2s in the pit. 44 minutes in.
Yep,
in from 8th position.
Yep, and the GT2s, Kimmo Suman is your race leader. John Malliot in second. Dave Geimer in third. Eric Verdoff in fourth. And that battle between Dave Geimer and Eric Verdoff still going on. It looks as though Verdoff hasn't quite got the legs to make a pass, but he's definitely got the legs to put pressure on Dave Geimer in that number 23 Team Shark machine.
Right, okay, Bushnell's leaving the pits now. Comfortably still out in 8th position, I think, unless it's not updated my screen yet.
It looks as though he should be... might lose a position to Michael Booth. But Booth's already pitted, I think.
Sasha Arabi's right out the back of the GTs, of the GT2s. Also, Mario Vlasic just in front of him.
And now...
he's come up behind.
And now for Nico Brandt, he's finally he got around the 4-car train. Now he's got the duo of Eric Verdoff and Dave Geimer, who have been going toe-to-toe for pretty much the entire race. He's now going to have to try and overtake these two drivers, but by the look of it, you won't catch them until they get to about Club Corner next lap.
Okay, so lap number 24 started by Nico. Runs wide, exit Cops again.
Oh no, he's going to be catching him again into Maggots and Beckett's. And this is just horrible for Nico Brandt. I mean, his last lap was a 1 minute 44.7. And we wanted to know how much time he lost. That lap before, 147.6. Painful.
And about 3 seconds.
Yeah, so he managed to get past Verdoff okay, but I think you won't be able to get anywhere near close to Dave Geimer. So maybe he might just be able to get him in the run down to Club Corner. Looking to the left-hand side, if he can just brake it properly. Too wide coming in. Yeah, easy job done there for Nico.
Good racecraft by Dave. Just came right side, but he's had to go a bit long in there. And now it's given Verdoff the opportunity to get right up close to Dave Geimer.
I'll tell you what.
Okay, so Will.
Yes.
Yeah, when do you think we're going to see Mr. Brandt pit then?
In the next 10 minutes.
Oh, come on. Are you a little bit more precise?
Okay, I'll put my money on lap 27.
Right, okay, I'll say 28.
Okay.
What do our Penguins say?
Penguins are laughing at each other at the moment as he comes down to complete lap number 24. So I think one of the key themes of this race, it does look as though overtaking has been very difficult so far. And I'm surprised there's not been a bit more pit strategy involved. I'm currently looking at Esteban Balao trying to put pressure on Rob Straitman. Straitman has made his pit stop. Banau hasn't for the moment, as they are going through to overtake Sasha Raber at the moment. But very difficult to overtake at this track, and surely pit strategy should have come in a little bit more than it has so far.
Yeah, no, I'd have thought that. We've really only seen people, we've not seen much pace passing, only really sort of accident passing. Or mistake passing, I think. We've just seen Dave Geimer and Eric Vidorf get a little bit fighty as well, because Dave had a little bit of a wobble coming through Cops, and that allowed Eric to get right up close to him.
And yeah, again, finally Vidorf trying to have a look down to the insides. They're coming to club corner. Not quite. And this is, again, you can line yourself up to make a pass, but making a pass in some of these corners is so difficult. And I think that comes down to the fact that for these type of cars, it's, you know, the braking zones are very clearly defined, and you can't carry too much speed through the corners, so you can't try and outbrake your opponent as much as you can do at some other racetracks, and the rest of the track is just, you know, very far, single line, flowing bits of racetrack.
Yeah, turn number 8, certainly a difficult corner to dive bomb and make it stick as well. We saw Dave Geimer take a wide entry in there and just take it a little bit late and just saw him slide as well. But I think Eric just sort of lifted and let him have that one.
So, in keeping with our bet, lap 25, and Nico Brandt still hasn't pitted.
Yeah, but I think we've seen Stefan Coppins in the pits.
Yep.
He's been and gone.
It looks as though Nico Brandt, David Ward, Ian Rogers, Jason Brown, Oliver Brandt all haven't pitted for the moment. Peterson and Straitman's both have, and I believe that they are the only two who've come down pit lane for the moment.
Still watching Eric Madoff in car with him after chasing down the Team Shark driver Dave Geimer. Pretty scary combination.
Vedal's doing a very good job there, keeping the pressure on Dave Geimer. We've seen him make a couple of mistakes so far, but it does look as though Vedal is doing a really good job of just keeping that pressure on. And we've seen that's one of the only things that you can really do at this racetrack. Keep the pressure on, hope the driver ahead makes a little bit of a mistake, and then use that opportunity to pounce.
But saying that, they're being caught by the train of Ward, Rogers, Brown and Brandt.
Yeah, and Ward's going to be right up there, probably at the end of this lap. So Ward's got himself back into the clutches almost of Ian Rogers, Jason Brown, Oliver Brandt. So Ward's going to want to try and serve his way through these two drivers as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you see him rolling through 8 and 9 again.
Sorry, I decided that I needed to choke for the moment, so carry on for a minute.
No, you carry on. You carry on choking. We're just in car with, I think we're in car with Eric Vidorf at the minute, watching the battle for 4th position or 3rd position in the GT2s. And just behind him, you see a lovely pink number. That's David Ward from Team Pink. He is slapped.
He's into pit lane.
Dave Geimer in pits with David Ward. Right there, Mr. Vidorf. Get your feet down, mate. Get your pedal to the metal. You've got a couple of laps to do now, potentially, to try and undertake him.
So David Ward's into pit lane. Geimer's into pit lane of the David variety. Are we allowed to call him David, or has it got to be Dave?
Well, I don't know, really. I've never met him, to be honest, so I'll call him David, I think.
So Dave and David into pit lane.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. That's a predicament, isn't it? The two Daves. We'll call them Daves. Two Daves.
Nico Brandt.
Ian Rogers catching. Oh, sorry about that.
Nico Brandt is on lap 27, so if I'm going to have any chance of winning my bet, then he's going to have to come down pit lane. We'll just keep an eye on Nico Brandt for the moment, as it is finally time. Get your jingle and your xylophone ready, Rob, for Yoni's technical interlude. Yoni, just tell us a little bit about the maggots complex that we were talking about earlier. The drivers seem to use a lot of curb there, and we were worried about drivers getting off-track incidents.
Yeah, I don't think iRacing penalizes you for 1x for doing that. You can go surprisingly deep over those curbs with, especially with a 4GT. I mean, personally, watching this race behind the scenes, I noticed that Kimmo Suominen and John Malia, the top two runners, are the only ones that know how to go through the maggots complex properly, and they gain about, I would say, anything between 3/10 to half a second every single lap, since they know how to do it right. I mean, we could we're approaching the corner complex right now, so we could go on board Eric Weider for. No, we're not gonna do that because Eric is driving into the pits. But anyway, well, we're gonna hop into Dave Geimer's car and see when he comes out. But anyway, I was saying that that corner complex is very tricky to go in because there's the left kink that takes you to the maggots, and then you have very slight uphill right-hander where you have to go as far to the inside, the right side as you possibly can to make a good entry, or as good of an entry as you can get to the next left-hander. And you have to there's the green tarmac or concrete surface. The inside of the corner, you don't get 1x for going over there. In fact, you can set your whole car over the green area without getting 1x. And if you do that, you're in an excellent position of getting the very inside line through the left-hander, which you also take your the whole car over the green area, and you still don't get 1x. And so far, Kimmo Suominen and John Malia are the only ones during this race that I've seen doing it properly. As we can see, Dave Geimer coming through it right now.
Oh, sorry, I need to interrupt you. Nico Brandt even just ran into the back of Kimmo Suominen there. Don't think there'll be any damage to either of those two race cars, but the GT1 and GT2 class leaders almost wrecked each other out. As Kimmo comes down the pit lane. But carry on, Yoni.
Yeah, like I was saying that.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, just before that crash happened, I was just about to say that as Eric Weidorf, Dave Geimer went into the complex, as you saw, he barely put half a car over that curb. But whereas Kimmo and John, every time they said it, as you can see, Nico Brandt doing right here, he took his car deep over that right side curb, and as I said, that's perfectly legal to do. And I don't think there's going to be any post-race monitoring for those incidents. I mean, that's a legal way, and that's the fastest legal way around this racetrack.
And let's not forget that the exit of Chapel leads you all the way down onto the long hanging straightaway, the longest straightaway on this racetrack. So you're going to want to have good exit speed to keep the momentum all the way down in Stowe Corner. As once again, we see Nico Brandt just getting a little bit squirrely through Stowe Corner. Looks like he's really trying to put the pressure on now, but his lap times still aren't the best. It did a 1 minute 46.0 last time, and it does look as though he's going to be resigned to possibly finishing third in this race at the moment.
Geimer has been in the pits. Quite a lot of drivers pitting now. It's very unfortunate for Nico. Very going to help his race at all. I wonder when he does have a pit, how much damage he's going to be repairing. Yeah,
I've got a feeling Nico will be coming down into pit lane this time by. Surely he must be at the end of his fuel window now. We're over 50 minutes into this hour-and-a-half race, and he stays out yet again.
I always said lap 39, Will.
Yes, you did. So we are 51.5 minutes into round 9 of the TFR Spring Super Cup on Glacier TV. Will Vincent suffering from a cold and something else, which is why I'm just rambling on incoherently as always. Rob also in the booth, as well as Yoni for the Yoni technical interlude. And Rob, I think the story of this race really has been passing has been so difficult, not only within your own car class, but GT1 drivers trying to overtake the GT2 cars.
Absolutely. We've seen a few door knockings already, but it's been quite a pace on pace. It's not been too good to watch, but hopefully towards the end of the race, when people start to get a little bit tired, it should be fantastic.
Yeah, and just one retirement so far. That is Nick Phillips in, I believe, the GT2 class in the number 4 machine. He's our sole retirement from the race. Everyone else is still running, and because we are past the halfway part now, pretty much everyone is going to get championship. In fact, everyone will get championship points except for Nick Phillips, seeing as they award points up the way they award points in the TFR Championship.
We're watching the Geimer and Vadoff fight that's just come back onto our screens. They've just come out the pits, and Eric's still showing quite a lot of pace. So they want to see what they're going to do through Maggot's complex now.
Yeah, that must have been frustrating for Vadoff, not being able to jump Geimer in the sequence of pit stops. So once again, he is sat right behind him. See a big part of smoke there, as I believe that as David Ward almost took out John Mallia. Coming into through the sequence, Beckett sequence of corners. Looks as though Ward was trying to overtake Mallia, just got his line all wrong, bounced over the grass, not once but twice, just to the way that, you know, once you get onto the grass it's very difficult to turn the car. As he came back onto the racetrack going into Chapel, he was, and I quote, literally inches away from collecting Geimer there. Inches.
Bit of a slide from the other guy as well, coming out of club. Eric Vadoff just tried to run down the inside of him, got a really good exit out of Stowe as well, and just can't get close enough. I think it's touching what we've been saying all evening, really. It's very, very hard to pass at the moment.
Yeah, Ian Rogers down into pit lane in the number 29 TFR machine.
And that's been a pretty good fight so far, isn't it? The Ward, Rogers, Brown and Brandt. That's probably been the best fight of the day so far. Yeah,
I think Ward's going to be out of that picture for the moment now after his moment in Beckett, the last lap that we just talked about. Ian Rogers, however, Oliver Brandt, Jason Brown, that will be an interesting battle. Still, Nico, Jason, Oliver and Ian haven't pitted. Keeping an eye as we are working lap 31, or in TFR time, that is about 55 minutes in to this race. As Nico Brandt still getting all kinds of sideway through the complex at the last stage of this lap. Having a look, he's not turning right yet again, so he carries on for yet another lap.
I always said it was at 31, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I think, to be fair, I do think that Jarno said it first, so I'm going to have to give him the prize, I'm sorry. Jason Brown also staying out on the racetrack, having a look back. Oliver Brandt staying out. We've already talked about how Ian Rogers has, however, made his pit stop, so he's going to have clean air to do that magical first lap on these fresh tyres, which could be a bit of an advantage for Ian Rogers, because Oliver Brandt and Jason Brown likely to come out around the same point of each other, and you don't want to be fighting on these fresh tyres when you could be losing advantage to people like Rogers and Ward, who might end up ahead of you.
We've seen Vadoff and Geimer just gone too wide. Big fight now. This is, I don't know if Dave's holding him up, actually. Must be. He's got to be holding him up.
I'm not too sure. I think that Vadoff is just probably getting sick to death of the sight of that number 23 Team Shark machine. They've been at it for a good part of 50 minutes now, and you see Vadoff taking different lines into the corners, just trying to upset the concentration levels of Geimer ahead of him, but still Geimer's holding his own in what is essentially third place in class.
Yeah, Vadoff could be one of those guys that just likes to lock onto someone and just try and pick them off, see where they lose time, and then we'll see what they're like through Cops. Nice, and then just carry the speed all the way out. That corner's so important because it carries you all the way through Maggotts to speed as well, and then you've got to scrub off as little speed as possible coming out of Beckett's and Chapel for the big long hanger straight. Just a little bit of a different line in then.
And I think that's one of the things you talked about, how there's 1,001 way through Luffield. There's
I think it's got to run now.
Good number of lines through a number of these corners, as now he's having a look. There we are. That was a beautiful manoeuvre down into Stowe.
Yeah, but he's going to do a switch Rooney and come back. No, it doesn't hold it. Big smoke up front. That's a Corvette.
Bart Monnin, the number 45.
Yeah, as he kindly tries to get out of the way of that fight. But right up behind him now is Tony Bushell. Hopes he can get it back up to speed.
He just caught the grass and the white line on the inside of Stowe corner, trying to take a look. It almost looked as though he tried to get onto the curb before the carb started. And just spun the car around. No harm really done. Just his tyres might be hurting a little bit.
Okay, so it looks like Radoff had set that one up before. Didn't notice that at a club, Dave Guymer did get a lot of a better exit as well. So now perhaps the Master can become the... Well, I can't really complete that sentence. But maybe now we can see Dave Guymer just sort of see where Eric Radoff's getting the time on him, and he can just try and sort of adapt his style to go a little bit faster through the sectors.
Yeah, and now it'll be interesting. Guymer's been the guy ahead for the last portion of this race. It'll be interesting to see whether Guymer can try and retake Eric Radoff in that number 94 machine. It does look as though Radoff can put away a little bit, but Dave Guymer's still holding his own.
Okay, started lap 32 for those guys. We had Nico in the pits yet?
Nope.
Jason Brown too, however, in the pits.
Nico Brown is now in pit lane.
Okay, so our leader on 33 laps, that's the lap I said he would come in, is now in pit lane.
So he's going to...
Which David Peterson?
Yeah, he's definitely going to come out. He won't come out in first. Got a very good chance of coming out in second position, though. It looks as though he might be able to get ahead of Rob Straitmans in number 17 by my watch.
Right, so yeah, Peterson's over start finish now.
Oliver Brandt also into pit lane. Yeah, so Peterson's easily ahead. Straitman's down the start finish line. Yeah. I don't know. I did say it'll be close. Does look as though there's only about a couple of seconds between them. Straitmans is coming down into Maggot. Literally about a second and a half, and we've seen before how good these fresh tyres are.
Right, okay, so we've seen almost the conclusion from the first three drivers. What you have seen, however, is Nico, who's really, really badly held up by the middle of the GT2 field. He's really got his head down and gets some fast laps in now, and he didn't drop off Rob Straitmans as much as we thought he would do.
No, he has managed to recover that quite a bit. He's hoping that Straitmans gets held up by this car ahead of him coming down into Club Corner, that he can start closing the gap. As you see, Nico's so late on the brakes there, trying to not get held up by the GT2 car, and he is going to have to take the long way around Club Corner. He's going to pretty much go over the road frame sign, trying to get the run out the corner coming down towards Abbey. He knows that this is pretty much his only chance of getting a good couple of laps in to close that gap down Straitmans and make the charge. So this is why he's taking all sorts of risks at the moment.
Looking further back as well, Rogers and Oliver Brandt are fighting. I think this is where Oliver must have just come out of the pits then in 6th position, or in 7th position, so there's a big fight now on for 6th position.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Oliver Brandt doing really good outlap here, trying to close down and make the pass on Ian Rogers. Look at how much curb he's using down as they come down towards Luffield now. So much curb through Brooklands, and again looking down towards the inside, he's going to get, not quite, almost was going to get a nose down the inside as they came down Woodcott into past start finish line, making another look down as they go down towards Cuffs Corner. Surely not.
No. Literally a couple of weeks ago I was down Silverstone watching all the MX-5s and the Mazda 5 do a test day, and I saw 2-3 wide going in the cops, and that was scary, but it's a good thing he backed out of that one then. But
now now he might get the run. As you see, Rogers just a little bit squirreling on the exit of Chapel, exit of Beckett's going into Chapel, but Oliver Brandt not close enough to really make a move. All we can do is hope that he can close down the hang straightaway into Stoke Corner, do a very good corner here, and try and make a move into Club. Getting very close there. Now he's got the chance to try and make the move down to the inside. Coming down towards Club Corner. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? Oliver Brandt looking down to the inside. And yeah.
No, it's not over yet.
Now it is.
Alright, now it's over. That was very, very aggressive racing. That's probably the most aggressive I've seen Oliver. It's still not that over, is it?
And on the exit of Club Corner, that is, as you see now, Rogers back down towards the inside as they come into the Abbey chicane. Oliver Brandt just was not expecting that at all. and thought, okay, I've got the job done, I can relax, and Rogers right back past.
Race on, ladies and gentlemen. These guys are properly being aggressive with each other.
And one thing that I would be interested to see the clarification on is on the exit of Club Corner. You see a lot of these drivers running over the Vodafone sign for Oliver Brandt, thinks he drives a Vitafone machine. That's probably a sponsor thing there. But I'm wondering how often they can run wide on the exit of Club before they get themselves a penalty.
So it depends if it's a mistake or not, I guess.
Well, you see that, but Oliver Brandt used that to his advantage to clear. You see Rogers
Live.
there. Wow.
Save of the day.
So that does give the position back to Oliver Brandt, but Ian Rogers still has a race car that's drivable. And that was just beautiful. How he managed to get the car straightened up perfectly as he drifted the car pretty much down onto the second of the pit lane roads that you were talking about earlier. Beautiful save.
Yeah, and that's always a result of two guys really aggressive with each other.
So for the
moment,
that will promote Oliver Brandt into fourth, and who could have said that he would end up in fourth in this race, judging by qualifying. Out front, Peterson is still your race leader. Rob Straitman's in second, being hounded down now by Nico Brandt in third. Oliver Brandt in fourth, David Ward in Rogers in fifth, David Ward in sixth, Jason Brown seventh, Esteban Ballo in eighth, Robert Lowry ninth, Bart Munnan in 10th. Larry Kopp in the number 99 is 2 laps down in 11th. And then Kimmo Surman is leading the GT2 class in the Glacier Racing number 51 machine. John Marriott in second, Eric Verdoff in third, Dave Geimer in fourth, Toby Bushnell in fifth, Stephen Coppins in sixth, Witzka Bubenik in seventh, Simon Geimer in eighth, Michael Booth ninth, Mario Vlasic in 10th, with Sasha Raby in 11th, and still your one and only retirement is Nick Phillips.
Right, okay, so I think we're still watching the Oliver Brandt car. Get clarification on that. Nico's now a couple of seconds behind Rob.
Just looking back at the Ian Rogers incident again, he was very lucky that that pit lane was there. If it did exist, he just simply would have been into that inside retaining wall on the exit of Cosp Corner there.
Yeah, he would have torpedoed that. It's just that second bit of tarmac just caught a bit of grip.
So you were wondering why those two pit lanes earlier on, and there's your answer.
Yep, purely to save Ian Rogers.
Jason Brown still having a really good battle with David Ward in the battle for 6th position. Jason Brown just lost himself a little bit of momentum coming out of Beckett into Chapel Corner. That allowed David Ward a little bit of breathing space in the number 69 machine. But there's still some good battles going on this racetrack, and as you were saying earlier, people are starting to get a lot more racier than they were in the first half of this race.
Yeah, gloves are off now. You've had pit stops, gloves are off. So just a question has just popped up.
Go on.
Sorry about this. Has David Ward actually been passed on track yet?
No. Well, he had that huge incident, so technically, yes, he has been passed. He had that incident through the Maggots-Beckett's complex, but a clean pass on the racetrack, no, he hasn't. Not yet.
Oh, this may be a very good day at the office then for David. Although I'm sure he would prefer to be a few more positions up.
Well, but still, 6th position is respectable. I mean, I did say that he's likely going to lose a couple of positions in that sequence of pit stops, particularly just with the fact that he had that moment and pitted a bit earlier. But still, 6th for David Ward on a track that he said that he doesn't like last week is a good shot for him.
Absolutely. Right, I'm just going to look further down into the murky world of GT2s, and we're looking at 4th position for Geimer, 5th for Bushnell, or Dave Geimer, Bushnell. Then we've got Simon Geimer and Stefan Coppins. So by my calculations, looks like the GT2 fight is going to stretch from Team Shark to the TF Endurance guys. It's currently 7 points, so if they stay like this or near enough, then it's a very good day at the office for Team Shark.
Oh yeah. And our random facts for the day, presented by Yodi Backman, is that Kimmo Surman in the number 51 machine and he pointed out the new Glacier Racing number 51 machine, the only driver to go sub 1 minute 48 in the GT2 class, which when you judge by the fact that that's faster than a good couple of drivers in the GT1s, that is an impressive showing by Kimmo yet again.
Another impressive showing is Jason Brown, who's going to try and take Mr. Ward's on-track passing virginity. Closed right up now.
So long as he doesn't take it on the landing strip out of Cost Corner, I don't mind. Innuendo Bingo on Glacier TV.
Yep. Feel free to join in with the hashtag TFR SuperCup. The big prize. What's the prize? You're going to send him a stuffed penguin, Yanni?
We're at Silverstone. It can't be a penguin, but I won't offend anyone by suggesting anything else. Jason Brown does look as though he almost had a better drive coming out of off field, but then the car just got a little bit twitchy to put the power down. That lost him the opportunity to make the move down into Cops Corner. But David Ward again under all sorts of pressure, and he's been pretty much under pressure all race long from at least one driver.
Jason Brown shows himself, calls in Ward to come over a little bit earlier to the racing line.
And we've just been informed. We've just been informed that we're not allowed to say penguins anymore. It's polar bears.
Yeah. Potato.
Here
The
we
run
go.
out of Chapel into Hanger Straight. Defensive
Now's
line.
the
It's a very
opportunity.
defensive line.
That's beautifully done as well. You know, the one move manoeuvre. And David Ward's like, okay, you can have the outside line. And there he does. Jason Brown almost, and they touch just gently. That puts Jason Brown onto the grass. And now you see David Ward I thought he was just going to give him the position. And they touch again. Oh! Jason Brown had the save of the day there. Second save of the day to avoid not drifting up into David Ward there.
That was classic racecraft. Always show the guy the outside line. You make him drive around you and then just squeeze him onto the grass. You know, give him room, but then don't give him room. You know, and I think that was a great bit of pace by Jason Brown. Didn't affect his speed too much, and he just thought, you know what, I'm just going to force you down the inside now, straight into corner number 8. Great save.
A great save by Jason. And as you can see from the replay there, as you can see from the replay, very, very close to ending both those two drivers' races. A great save by Jason not to brush up into David Ward. And to be fair, as David put him into the grass just one corner beforehand, that could have been revenge. But Jason showed a lot of respect there for his competitor.
Which is good, because you don't want your race ended. We've just seen him fly past Mario Classic now. Maybe we'll see round 2. I think we are going to see round 2, actually.
Yeah, Brown is a lot better through the Maggots, Beckett's Chapel sequence. A lot better. But this time, not quite as good on the gas coming out of Chapel. So he's going to be about 4 car lengths behind. Definitely not got the same closing speed as he had last time. You see there. This time, David Walsh is taking his normal line into Stowe Corner.
Doesn't have to go that defensive. A little bit of a wobble. It was the scene of the earlier crime in this area.
Oh, and by the way,
tighter exit through club, doesn't he?
By the way, David Peterson's still leading. Carry on.
Oh, still. And what about Kimmo?
Oh, surprisingly enough, he's still leading as well.
What we're more interested in is a fight for 6th position. The one you've seen now between David Ward and Jason Brown.
Point of note as well, as Jason Brown looking down to the inside there, didn't quite manage to make anything happen. But point of note, Ian Rogers hasn't been able to close that gap back to Oliver Brandt in the battle for 4th position since that save earlier on. So it looks like he must have flat spotted a tyre a little bit, because his lap times have dropped off just enough for the moment to allow Oliver Brandt to keep that 4th position for the time being.
Great news for Oliver, who of course is leading the GT1 Championship. Although David Peterson, if he has a choice to say anything about that, he probably will, because he will close up the points now. Might see how they do the Magnus Complex again. He just rides over that curb.
again, it does look as though Jason Brown is faster through the actual sequence of corners, but Ward is better on the exit of Chapel, and that's where you need the speed as you come down into the Hanger Street and then Stowe Corner.
Right, hopefully, if nothing goes wrong, we're going to see them next time round when they start their 42nd lap. We'll just take a go in car with Jason Brown. That's if nothing goes wrong. Just so we can see the difference in the cornering between these two guys.
In the GT2 class, pretty much settled down for the time being. I say that. Michael Booth getting all kinds of sideways there, trying to have a bit of a race with Stefan Coppens as Peterson puts a lap on both of them.
You know what, Will? We've not got that long left, have we?
No, we haven't. We've got ourselves...
That's flying.
We have ourselves about 18 minutes.
Right, 18 minutes left. There's a bit of a discrepancy down the bottom right-hand side of the screen between the time you see and the actual time of the race. This is iRacing's doing, but we will help you through the ending of the race, and we'll tell you when the white flag's out. We'll tell you when the leader's going to cross the line as well.
The magical number is 5 minutes and 37 seconds.
Right, so we'll be counting up to 5 minutes 30 seconds, and then we'll just see where the leader is, and we'll see where the where the checkered flag is, and make it nice and comfortable for everyone to know what's going on.
Here we are then, looking at David Ward and Jason Brown. Again, it does look as though Brown just isn't quite close enough, but Mario Vlasic will come into play, potentially, in the middle of Stone Corner, so this could be interesting to see how David Ward manages to get around him coming down into Club. Ward gets down perfect fine. You see there Jason Brown, oh, free wide for the moment, and this is now going to be who has the biggest polar bears. Has David Ward there having to defend heavily, but Jason Brown's going to have the inside line as they both have to cut down. Free wide again into Abbey Chicane, and for the moment Ward manages to hold on, but I'd say that was, and not by design by David Ward, but by necessity of having to overtake Mario Vlasic, a little bit of blocking there.
Yeah, no, he had to really. If I was Mario Vlasic, I'd have seen that coming and just sort of got out of the racing line and backed well off, because that was a bit of a nasty moment there for David Ward. And he really had to chop the nose off of him, because he needed to get out behind from that Ford GT, and he could not leave. He could not lose the line going into. So I think that's corner number 8 or 11, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it did look as though coming into Abbey Chicane, it did look like a block, but I'm sure that wasn't intentional by Ward. He just had nowhere else to put the car. Unfortunately, that was one of Jason Brown's biggest opportunities to make the pass happen. So now he is going to be ruthless as he closes down yet again into Beckett and Maggott. I mean, some people would be saying that theoretically Ward should have given the position to Brown simply because he was the one that put himself into that position behind Vlasic in the first place. But there you see again, this time Ward did go down to the inside, but then realised that Brown wasn't quite close enough.
They're running around Stowe now. Very wide, wasn't it? Very wide for Jason Brown.
Very wide. Not to catch a white line there. For the record, this is one of the two battles on track. Nico Brown, the battle for second position, has just managed, sorry, not just managed, has managed to close down Rob Straterman in second position. Gap is now less than about 1.5 seconds between the two of them. Oh, it's closed back up. The gap was down to 0.2 of a second. It's now back up to 3 seconds as Nico Brandt was getting held up in traffic a little bit there. So Straightman's managed to use the get out of jail free card for himself as Nico Brandt was starting to put a lot of pressure on that number 17 machine of Rob Straightman in the Falcon GP car.
I think Brandt had had off track in lap 42. Ooh, you see Jason Brown get very close to David Ward there. This certainly is the fight to watch at the minute. 6th position.
Very, very close he was there into the entrance of Maggots, and this could be a very good opportunity for Jason Brown. They're almost looking down to the inside as they come through the exit of Beckett. Very close as they run through Chapel. Now, again, this is where you'll see David Ward running down to the inside. He thinks that Jason Brown isn't quite close enough. It will be a case of, will Jason Brown be able to keep the momentum through Stowe Corner? Actually breaks a little bit earlier there, but David Ward is now right with him, and I'm sure he's going to... David Ward...
Here we go.
So come down to Club Corner. Ward managing to hold off yet again from Jason Brown as they come out of Club Corner. And it does look as though Ward has used up quite a lot of his tyres now. You can see that he's just not as comfortable getting off the power and back onto it. And I tell you what, it really is, we can say now, holding up Jason Brown a little bit in that number 21 Doghouse Systems machine.
Yeah, Brown's all over him like a powerful rash. He did have to lift into Beckett's mid-apex as well, just to react, because David did get in the way of his natural running. So that lost him quite a lot going down through the hangar into Vale. And we'll see what this happens next time round, because, yeah, definitely slowing him down.
So your latest innuendo bingo, powerful rash. And I tell you what, Jason Brown is... really got to be careful now that he doesn't use up too much of his own tyres trying to make the move. Perhaps just laying back for a lap or so and then just making one huge charge through Beckett. If he times it right, like he had a really good run through Cross Corner that time, so he's got the momentum coming into Beckett, but then he has to brake a lot earlier into Maggot, and he's just losing a lot of that momentum as he goes through the complex.
Yeah, and now we see him just get the final run out of that corner. If he manages to get in a tow, you can certainly see David having to slide into Maggots quite dramatically. And no, I don't think he should drop off. I think it should just be pressure, you know, attack. What we want to see anyway, isn't it, Will?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's two ways of doing it. There is the attack and hope the driver ahead makes a mistake. But there are times when you sometimes need to be slower into a corner to then carry more, to be able to not have to check up mid-sequence, to then have the opportunity to close over a more sustained period. As again, he gets very good drives of the exit of Club Corner, does Jason Brown. As he's going to go around the outside of Abbey. Not quite going to happen that time. And I'm sure...
it might be...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought there might be some kind of switcheroo going on then, but he's never going to be able to get around the outside. I think he just had the case if he had to stop the car, and he didn't want to stop it up David's behind.
Yeah. And I'll bring in Yoni into the conversation again as our resident technical expert. And Yoni, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think what Jason Brown should be doing something different in number 21 through the sequence of, you know, cost through Maggot into Beckett?
Not really over there. He's doing a good job of getting an excellent run out of Maggots and Becketts, as we've basically seen throughout this race. Those people who have the guts to cut the corners deep. I mean, you have to basically the basic rule from the textbook is you may have to give up an optimal line out of that previous corner in order to maximize the second corner, but the Maggots and Beckett's combination is pretty, I would say, rare combination in iRacing, at least, because you have to give up the first corner, you have to give up the second corner, you almost have to give up the third corner in order to get a maximum launch to the back straightaway. So at least Jason Brown is doing exactly how he should do. He just gives up his rights for the first three corners, maximizes his grip out of the corner, gets a good run of it, but it just doesn't have enough time. But that last time when they approached the second chicane, where they're coming right now, in my opinion, Jason had a good run on the outside. He forced David Ward to brake in the inside, which means David suffered a bit through the mid-corner. So here, he should have just braked slightly earlier than normal and get a good launch of the exit of chicane as he tries to the inside right here!
Oh, so close. He's not quite going to be able to do the switch over. But that's a corner where
right, still coming.
Too wide and they
Still
go
coming.
down the inside this time. This time, surely he's going to be able to get the job done. But that means David Ward's going to have the inside line into Luffield. But it does look as though finally Jason Brown's wanting to clear David Ward.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to by getting immediately pulled into pit lane. Oh my god! But yeah, just as I was saying, that's what he should have done 1 lap ago in the chicane. He should have just backed out for corner, let David Ward just fail the corner and get a maximum launch out of it, and he probably would have nailed that 1 lap earlier. I was actually surprised that he didn't do that. I was expecting him to do exactly that he tried this lap coming into the stadium under the bridge, that he would have just had a far better exit. He would have launched the inside and clear the pass right there. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty much textbook material from Jason Brown. Nothing dramatic, no big errors, and yeah, beautiful driving.
I'll be interested to see the reasoning behind him coming down pit lane. Did he get some damage from a little love tap there by David Ward? Is what I'd be interested to know. He's down in pit lane for quite a considerable amount of time. He might have even put too much fuel in that car. But he comes back out onto the racetrack now. He is going to lose a position to Esteban Balao by the look of it. That will put him down to at least 8th position. And once again, David Ward gets away free.
Madness, absolute madness. Second pit stop. The only 2 stopper today, apart from Larry, who's been in about 4 times. Absolutely just gets past him, really aggressive for the last sort of 5-6 laps. Then just gets past him and goes, well, now past you, I'll come in the pits.
Making a point. Meanwhile, Nico Brand, away from our screens, is up into 2nd position. I did see on my timing a lap ago, he'd caught right back up to about less than a second behind. And just having a look back to see exactly what happened with that. But Nico Brand has managed to get himself back up in to 2nd position. So now he's not going to have any chance really of catching Peterson unless Peterson makes a huge mistake.
Well, we've seen these things happen before, but a great race by Nico then. Well, I don't think it's completely over between Rob. Maybe Rob gets a bit of pace under him now.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget Rob Straitman is only about a second behind Nico Brand in the battle for 2nd position. And I just saw in a moment, it was coming down into Abbey Chicane, just lost the rear end of the car and didn't quite do 180 degrees, but had to use the escape road from the classic circuit.
So a great slow. Also another little bit of drama just went on. Toby Bushnell into turn number 8 ran a little bit wide and just cut the corner into turn number 9, so he's now further away from Dave Geimer for the battle for the GT2s for 4th position. So
with just over 6-ish minutes to go in round 9 of the TFR Spring Super Cup on Glacier TV, David Peterson is your race leader. Nico Brandt in 2nd, Rob Straitman's in 3rd, Oliver Brandt in 4th, Ian Rogers in 5th. In the GT2 class, Kimmo Suerman is in 1st, John Malliott in 2nd, Eric Verdoff in 3rd, Dave Geimer in 4th, Toby Bushnell in 5th, and by my watch we have about 2.5 laps left to go. The magic number we're looking for on the bottom right hand corner of your screen is 5 minutes 37 seconds, so actually we only have 4 minutes and 37 seconds left now.
Okay, so David S. Peterson just running side by side with Eric Verdoff and just lapped him for what about, I think it's the 2nd time, I think, Mr. Verdoff. Cameras are on the lovely new paint job of Kimmo Suernen, our GT2 leader, who's probably about a country mile ahead of 2nd position John Malliott. Despite John being an exceptionally quick driver.
Yeah, Mallie's done a really good job in that 2nd position. He's fallen behind from Kimmo Suerman by about, the gap's only about, to be fair, about 10 seconds. And that's as much as it's been all race long. So John Malley has done a really good job of at least staying within the same postcode as Kimmo Suerman in that number 51 Glacier Racing machine. And it's a really good job by John Malley. We've not really talked about him all race long. He's just been sat there in 2nd position, racking up the laps, not only putting a foot wrong for the most part, almost got collected in that incident with David Ward earlier when Ward had decided to do a bit of off-roading through the Maggots-Beckett's complex. But a really good job by Malliott, and you see that Eric Verdoff has finally managed to pull away from Dave Geimer in 3rd position. As Rob Straitman, so Rob Straitman is into pit lane. Rob Straitman is into pit lane.
And
So
that's
the
another
second
incredibly
driver.
late. Yeah, no, I reckon they've got to be short fueling.
Yeah. And you know what that means? I was saying about Nico and Oliver not being in the podium together.
He has, isn't he? Is he just taken
Yeah.
third?
Oliver Brand is now up into the third position.
Jammy little... Well, it's a fantastic drive, one of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the
From
second race in a row to be on the podium.
From pretty much nowhere as well for Oliver Brand. I mean, we talked about him in practice, in qualifying, how in practice he was in practice he was down in 7th. In qualifying, he was down in 7th. And all of a sudden, he's just kept his head clean and looking to come home at the moment with a third place finish.
They must be the luckiest second cousins on iRacing.
Yeah. Nico Brandt, let's be fair, he's done a sterling job. We saw him lose so much time in the middle portion of that race behind the GT2 class. We saw him lose, 5-6 seconds in the space of 2 laps? Gap between himself and David Peterson is currently 5 seconds.
Unbelievable. Peterson was in the midst of a couple of GT2s as well. His last lap was 1:45. Let's look all the way through laps. Yeah, he's consistently lapping 45s, 46s.
So by my watch,
Between...
the white flag's in air this time by. So David Peterson has 1 lap to go. Nico Brandt currently sat in 2nd. Oliver Brandt is now coming through Luffield. He's in 3rd position. In Rogers, it's going to move up into 4th. Rob Straightmans, I believe, is down into 5th position. David Ward is in 6th. Iswan Badow in 7th. Jason Brown in 8th. And Rob, I know you're a full GT lover, so why don't you go through one more time?
Let me just get my final score voice on. In 1st position, Kimmo Surinnan. 2nd is John Mallier. 3rd position, Eric Vadoff. 4th is Team Shark's Dave Geimer. 5th is Top Freak Endurance Toby Bushnell. 6th is Simon Geimer. In 7th position, Victor Budnek. 8th is Michael Boove. In 9th position, Stefan Coppens. 10th is Mario Vlasic. And 11th position is Sasha Rabe. We have 1 retirement in the GT2s, and that was Phillips.
And for David Peterson, he has got himself less than half a lap to go. He's done the trickiest part of the lap. He's down into the Abu chicane for the final time, just flicking it to the left and now to the right, down underneath the bridge for what is, surprisingly enough, called Bridge Corner. Now flicking it right. Now this is the beautiful set of corners. That left, it has to be hard on the brakes and then slow it down again into the left for Brooklands. Coming out for one more time, out of Brooklands, down into Luffield for the final time. And as David Peterson comes out of Luffield, past the start-finish line, he's going to win round 9 of the TFR Spring Super Cup on Glacier TV. He's already doing the funny weaving. Nico Brandt comes home in 2nd position, gap across the line, 4 seconds. We're currently waiting on Oliver Brandt. He's got a couple of bits of traffic ahead of him. They're not going to come into play. That is Toby Bushnell and Dave Geimer ahead of him in the GT2 cars as they come down to complete their race. Oliver Brandt is going to come home with a magical 3rd position. He could not have asked for anything more in that race. In Rogers comes home in the 4th spot, and Rob Straightmans is in 5th.
In the GT2s, Kimmo is literally just going round on the end of Hanger Straight, just going round Stonehouse, so pretty much all of a lap for Kimmo to do.
Yes,
not too far off, so I think we're going to be another couple of minutes yet for these guys.
Yeah, John Mannier's just coming through Club Corner right now. Eric Verdoff is still, again, coming through Club. However, Toby Bushnell, Simon Geimer, Witzka Bubnek, Stefan Coppens, Michael Booth, they've all finished. So we're just literally waiting on your top 3 drivers to complete the race. Kimmo Surinnan, John Malley and Eric Verdoff. You see Kimmo Surinnan now down into Luffield for the final time. and just getting the car ever so slightly. He's drifting around the final corner there. There's Kimmo Suerman in that number 51 Glacier racing machine. Bring it down now past the start-finish line. He's going to win the GT2 class race. And obviously, let's not forget, he is also the GT2 champion for this season, doing burnouts all over the place. John Mallia comes home in second position. Eric Verdoff comes home, is currently coming to complete the last part of the lap in third. Although I do think that he's out of fuel, perhaps. Yeah, I think Eric Verdoff, I think Eric Verdoff might actually be out of fuel, but with no one behind him, it looks as though he will just be able to coast to the end.
Strange last lap then, isn't it? He's having Verdoff's having a coast to the end, and we've got we've got John Mallia out of fuel as well.
That's always it. That's one of the things as well. If you just get caught by fuel calculations by a couple of litres, or half a gallon here, half a gallon there, some of these drivers don't want to have to do that extra lap. And for Suerman, Mallia and Verdoff, they're the ones that had to do the extra lap. So to run through one more time, David Peterson wins the GT1 Corvette class here at Silverstone. Nico Brandt in second, Oliver Brandt in third, Ian Rogers in fourth, Rod Straightman's rounding out your top five. And in the Ford GT class, Kimmo Suerman takes victory yet again in the number 51 machine. John Mallia in second, Eric Verdoff in third, Dave Guyman in fourth, Toby Bushnell rounds out your top five. And post-race interviews will start with your race winner, David Peterson. Congratulations on your win. That was, by the look of it, a very easy race, leading from the front, but you had a lot of pressure on behind from Rob Straightman for the first part of the race and Nico Brandt slightly catching you towards the end.
Yeah, it probably wasn't as easy as it might have looked, since we didn't actually have any dueling, but I was doing a lot of fuel management throughout that race. I ended up, as we were coming up on the GT2 cars in the first stint, I was looking at my fuel, I've got my spreadsheet on the tape to the side of my monitor, doing math in my head, trying to figure it out exactly what I could do. And I decided to pit early with quite a bit of fuel left in the car. And that was so that I could avoid the massive GT2s and not lose the time getting around them. That seemed to work out, but it was cutting it really close because I was coming in at just a little beyond the edge of the fuel window. So at the end of the race, I kept on losing more time to Nico because I was running out of fuel and I was trying to save, and I was worried that my gap wouldn't be large enough to burn it for more fuel and make it to the end, but it worked out.
Yeah, and it did look almost that you could have just been about 10-15 seconds away from having to do an extra lap, so you're very, very lucky at that point. And you did say to me last week that the last third of the season was the one with all the tracks that you liked the most, and you got home with the victory here today at Silverstone. Is this you stating your claim to make that end of season charge as you try and close down Oliver for the championship?
Yeah, I went into the race today knowing that the way the championship points work, I have to win this race if I'm going to have any sort of realistic chance of retaining my title. And so I just went for it. And the remaining tracks, yeah, I'm strong at there too. I can't afford to make any missteps at this point. But I'm hoping to at least give people a show and bring it down to the last round, and me and Oliver can have a shootout.
Well, congratulations on your first place finish. Next week, heading over to Phillip Island. Again, another track that you are looking forward to. And I'm sure this is a TFR Glacier TV first, but Kimmo Suurman, congratulations on winning the GT2 race here at Silverstone. Again, great job, another dominant performance. How do you keep on doing it?
Well, I have no idea really, but I guess I just have to concentrate and do my best on every race and hope that I don't make any mistakes, and through that and with some luck, of course, I guess you get the good results.
You did almost have a moment about halfway through the race when Nico Brandt, who at the time through the sequence of pit stops was leading the GT1 class, almost had a moment with you, I believe, going into Brooklands. The two of you just touched gently. Did that do any damage to your race car at all?
Well, I don't remember having any moment with him, any touch or anything, but I guess it could have been something to do with the network issues or something, but I don't remember anything like that happening.
And unless my calculations are completely incorrect, you've beyond secured the GT2 championship for this season. But are you going to chill out a little bit more going into Phillip Island, Mosport and Road Atlanta? Or is it still a case of you're going to go and aim to win every other race?
Well, you never can chill out when you're racing with these guys. Always have to put your best performance, and so yeah, have to try keep winning, and not let these guys get anything on me at the later stage of the season.
Well, congratulations on your win, not only on the win, but doing a great job for your new Glacier Racing number 51 car on its first time out in the TFR SuperCup series. Coming on next to Oliver Brandt, who somehow managed to come home third in the race. Oliver, you managed to... You were 7th in practice, 7th in qualifying. You didn't set a qualifying time literally until about 3 minutes left to go, and then you managed to make your way through the field. I'm guessing that for you this must be pretty much a dream result.
Yeah, it went beyond anything I had hoped for or dared dream about happening. In this race I knew I was going to be slow. Silverstone is one of the tracks I hate the most of any track in the world. And that combined with me having to have had a lot of hours of work this week, so I haven't had any practice really, haven't done any official races, haven't made any setup changes, so I just stuck a Road America setup on there and then got a few hours of practice before the race and then got involved. My pace in the beginning was horrible. I was second to last or something like that for the start of the race, but I had a really good run with Jason Brown and Ian Rogers ahead of me. We were really close, and we caught up David Ward at some point in the race as well. But our battling then saw him take off again. And then through the pit stops, Jason Brown had some kind of problem with the penalty coming out of the pits, and I came out right behind Ian. And with the fresh eyes, I could easily put the pass on him, even though he fought me quite hard for it. And then David Ward as well had some kind of problem. I don't know what happened there, but saw me getting a position, and I knew already less than 45 minutes in that Rob had short fuel, so I knew that was a position in the end as well.
And you did have a couple of very close moments in the race. Just how difficult was it to try and make your way through traffic here at Silverstone?
Well, the traffic wasn't so bad, but I was really close on pace with Jason Brown and Ian Rogers, and at one point going into the left-right, left-thing combination, I don't know the name of it, second turn complex, I was going 3 wide with Jason Brown, and he sort of turned into the first apex, leaving enough room for one car, but the problem was I had a GT car on my left side as well, so I couldn't turn in, resulted in a little tap, sending him over the track and getting a cut track penalty, so I just slotted in behind and I waited out for him, not to gain any advantage for that. And then again with or earlier with Ian, same situation really. I tried to take advantage of him being overtaken by Brown there into, I don't know the name of the corner either. But, that's how much I hate Silverstone. I don't even know the names of the corners. Well, some left-hander tried to take it 3 wide and go in there, but just wasn't room for 3 cars. So I had a little tap, but no damage, luckily.
And heading over to Australia next week for Phillip Island, a track that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, quite a bit. I like Phillip Island. It's one of my better tracks, so to say.
And I'm guessing that you'll be looking to do anything reasonable within your power to keep Peterson from winning the race, to try and continue your charge in the GT1 Championship.
Oh yeah, I'm off work all week next week, so I'll have 24 hours a day to practice.
The gauntlet has been laid. Coming down to the number 69 machine, David Ward. 6th place overall. Been an interesting day for you. I saw you do a little bit of off-roading and almost collecting John Malley at one point. But take us through your race, and how happy are you with 6th?
Yeah, it was okay.
Anything else?
No, mate, I need to not say anything.
But moving on to Phillip Island next week, looking for a better result for yourself? Looks like David has disappeared for the moment. But I'll ask the final question to anyone who'd like to be interested in it. Phillip Island next week, again, from Silverstone to a completely different type of racetrack. Anyone thinking that they're going to have the upper hand there?
Well, I don't really know if I'm gonna have the upper hand. I've only raced Phillip Island a few times last season with a slightly different Corvette back then. So yeah, I have no idea how fast the other guys in the Corvette are either. Last season in TFR, I was racing the Ford GT around there.
So go on. Sorry, David.
I basically have to win that race in order to have a shot against Oliver with the way the points work. So I'm going to be working at it real hard.
So next weekend we'll be heading over to Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit for round 10 of the TFR SuperCup series, the 4.445 kilometre racetrack, 12 turns, and that's all I'm going to say for now. Rob, it's time for you to say farewell to everyone.
Farewell, everyone.
Until next week, goodbye.